Hi guys, Wheelie here. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet my sweet and simple flowers. As you can see, I've been making lots of little purple flowers. If you stick around till the end of the video, I'll show you the fun project I'm working on with these flowers. It is such a cute idea. It's trending everywhere at the moment, and if you haven't tried it out yourself, I think you're going to want to. But for today, for right now, I'm going to crochet this flower with you. You only need a little bit of yarn, and you can use whatever weight yarn you're comfortable with. I'll make my flower with DK yarn. I've got sea green for the petals and natural for the center. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a needle, and the crochet hook your yarn label recommends. I'm using a 4mm hook. Start with your color one yarn, the yarn you're using for the center of the flower, and make a magic circle. There are lots of different ways to make a magic circle, so use the method you're comfortable with, or you can follow along with me. I hold onto the tail with my right hand and I lay that across the top of my fingers and hold it between my middle finger and my ring finger. I let the tail go and pick up the working end and take it behind my fingers, slip it between my middle finger and my ring finger as well. Then I take it across the top of my fingers and it makes a cross. I bring it around behind my fingers and slip it between my ring finger and my pinky. Then I bring it across my fingers again so I can hold it in place there with my thumb. I let go of the yarn with my right hand and turn my left hand over. I have 2 lines of yarn across the top of my fingers and the tail is poking out here. I slip my hook under the first piece of yarn and over the second. I pull it down under the first piece of yarn and I do a little twist. That is a magic circle. To secure it, I'm going to chain 1 on this piece of yarn, but I'll slip the tail out of the way first so you can see what I'm doing. I pull up a little bit. I give myself some slack by loosening my thumb on the yarn I'm holding under there. I slip my hook backwards under that strand of yarn, hook it, and pull it through the loop on my hook to chain 1. Now I turn my hand so my fingers face me and I slip the magic circle off my fingers towards me so that it's facing the correct way. Tail is on the left. I tighten that up a little now. I find it easier to work into a smaller circle. Round 1 of the flower is 6 single crochets worked into this magic circle. Insert the hook. There is 1 loop on the hook and 2 strands of yarn from the magic circle. One is the circle and one is its tail. Yarn over and pull up a loop. There are 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops to finish the first single crochet. I'll work another 5 single crochets into this circle, making sure I'm working over the circle and its tail with each of those stitches. When you have 6 single crochets, pull on the tail of the circle to tighten it up. Next, we join up the round. You can either slip stitch to your first single crochet or you can use an invisible join, which is what I'm going to do. I don't really like working into slip stitches, particularly on something as small as this flower. An invisible join will give me something closer to the top of a normal stitch to work a petal into. If you're going to work an invisible join with me, cut your yarn. Don't fasten off, just use your hook to pull out the tail. Thread the tail onto your needle. Invisible joins are worked 1 stitch to the left of where you would normally work a slip stitch. I'd normally slip stitch to the first single crochet of the round, so I'm going to work my invisible join on the second single crochet of the round. Insert the needle from the back of your work to the front under both loops of the top of the stitch. Try not to split the yarn. Pull the needle through. Find the last single crochet of the round and insert your needle down into the top of that stitch and out into the back of your work and pull it through. And if you have a look, that's created something that looks very like the V at the top of a normal single crochet. When we work the next round, the petals, we'll be able to work into the top of the invisible join just like a normal stitch. I'm going to weave this tail in now, otherwise the join will come apart straight away. To weave in the tail, I'm over sewing 3 times. I can snip that off now. That's the center of the little flower finished. There are 6 single crochets nestled into a magic circle. We can start round 2 and create the petals. We're going to use color 2. You can bring your yarn in using whatever method you like to use. I'm preparing my color 2 yarn by folding it. I haven't tied a knot, I just folded it, leaving a bit of a tail. Start the round in any stitch from the last round. I insert my hook and now I can pick up colour 2, hook the folded loop I created and pull it through the stitch. Let's start round 2 and make a petal. Chain 3. The next stitch is a double crochet 2 together. Yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch you pulled up a loop in, and I'm going to work over the tail of the colour 2 yarn. I have 2 loops on my hook, and I have the top of the stitch, and I have the tail of the colour 2 yarn. Yarn over and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. There are 2 loops on the hook. Stop, don't finish that double crochet. Yarn over and insert your hook again into the same spot. There are 3 loops on the hook, plus the top of the stitch and the tail of the colour 2 yarn. Yarn over and pull up a loop. There are 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to finish the double crochet 2 together. Now chain 3 and slip stitch. Insert the hook into the same stitch as the double crochet 2 together. Pull up a loop and pull that loop through the working loop. That is the first petal done. I'll give you a little look. There is a chain 3, a double crochet 2 together, another chain 3 and a slip stitch, all in that same stitch. Let's work the second petal. I'm going to drop the tail at the back now. The second petal starts with a slip stitch in the next stitch along. Insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, pull that loop through the working loop, chain 3, double crochet 2 together, yarn over, insert the hook in the same stitch as the slip stitch. There are 2 loops on my hook plus the top of the stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. There are 3 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2. There are 2 loops. Don't finish that double crochet. Yarn over again and insert your hook into the same stitch. There are 3 loops on the hook plus the top of the stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. There are now 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 to finish the double crochet 2 together. Chain 3 and slip stitch to the same stitch that you just worked the double crochet 2 together in. Insert your hook and pull up a loop and pull that loop through the working loop. That finishes the second petal. The 4 remaining petals are exactly the same as the second petal. I'll do them with you, but I won't go quite as slowly and I won't talk through each stitch in as much detail. Slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 3, work a double crochet 2 together in the same stitch you just slip stitched into, chain 3, slip stitch again into the same stitch you worked the double crochet 2 together in. That finishes the third petal. Slip stitch into the next stitch to start the fourth petal, chain 3, double crochet 2 together in the same stitch as your slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch in the same stitch as your double crochet 2 together. That finishes the fourth petal. Slip stitch into the next stitch to start the fifth petal, chain 3, double crochet 2 together in the same stitch as your slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch in the same stitch as your double crochet 2 together. That finishes the fifth petal. Slip stitch into the last remaining stitch to start the sixth and final petal, chain 3, Double crochet 2 together in the same stitch as your slip stitch. Chain 3, slip stitch in the same stitch as your double crochet 2 together to finish off the 6th petal. I need to connect the 6th petal to the 1st petal to finish the flower. To do that, cut your yarn, slide out the working loop by pulling your hook upward, thread that tail onto your needle, find the spot you worked all the stitches for the 1st petal, insert your needle down into that stitch and pull the yarn through. Weave in your tails and your pretty little flower is complete. I'm going to show off what I'm making with my purple flowers. I've covered my mum's phone charger cable so it looks like a vine. I'm going to sew on these purple flowers and it will be ready to give to her. If you'd like to cover a cable too, you can watch this video now and get making. Or if you want to make some more flowers, check out the other video and make some big, bold, cheerful flowers. You can use them as coasters or stick your needles in them like I do. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.